Today is all about money. What can we do with our cash and where can we put it? We're going to talk about three things of what we're purchasing, actually what I purchased this week. Now the reason we do these videos, a lot of these videos have a lot of commonality. They have a lot of the same things. But the purpose is I want to hone in on them because of the stories that have come out about how they're wanting to ban them, how they're wanting to change the way that you can invest, how they're changing the way they want to regulate your money. So let's jump into today, three things I bought this week that you should be purchasing, because I think as we get closer to this kind of this new agenda, this new kind of a world push, I honestly believe this globalist movement is going to ban these three things. Let's jump into it today. I'm going to tell you exactly what I did, tell you how to do it the best way. We'll talk about the stories that I think you should be watching for dealing with these three items. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let us know what you think about this content. Again, this video is a lot like our other Do This Now videos. The reason I want to, again, hone in on it is because there's new stories, there's new pushes against it, and I believe we're going to start slowly seeing a ban on these three items. So I'm telling you to start buying them right now with your cash. You may not can buy them all at one time. You may have to budget over seasons to get it, but you need to start working towards it. Now, if you're interested in these shirts, remember this is our new line, Awake Not Woke shirt. Check those out in our Bonfire store. I think you would like a lot of those designs about your freedom. And again, thank you for supporting us. If you buy them, if you do buy them, hey, take a picture of yourself, get on Twitter, get on True Social, even on YouTube, share the picture, and we would love to see you supporting the Max and also some Freedom Line shirts. So check those out in the Bonfire store. Number one is self-defense tools, firearms and munition. Just this week, Oregon Sheriff Association came out and said the FBI's position is making it almost illegal to buy firearms for hunting or for self-defense. We saw the same push with magazines in California. We see these same pushes with New York. We actually saw several states going up in price, almost like a sin tax onto munitions. So we were seeing 7 to 10 to 11% extra tax that was going to be placed on these purchases. Slowly and surely you're going to see the 2A rights, those Second Amendment things, those self-defense tools, those hunting rifles, they're going to be alienated. And when they're going to be alienated, that means you may not have the chance to buy them one day. Or if you can, it's going to be almost an elitist purchase. It's going to be where you can't afford them. It's going to be where you can't transfer to each other. You have to buy them from a source that government approves. So you need to be purchasing right now self-defense tools and munitions. Now, I will tell you two that I believe that you should be looking at more than anything. Oh, let's go with three. First, self-defense when it comes to enhanced carry and making sure it's on your person, maybe your EDC, you need to be looking at 9mm. No doubt, it's probably my favorite round. It's more economic than most other EDC carries. I think it's one of the best rounds all around. You can buy them pretty reasonable and you can buy them by the gross, especially if you get a good friend, maybe with a pawn shop or from a local store. I'd also look at self-defense such as carbines, such as a 223, 5.56, the AR platforms. That is one that they are majorly pushing against. So if you can pick those up, especially if you can purchase them at a good price, and the rounds, both of those things are going up in price. But if you buy them now, buy them in bulk, maybe go to a pawn shop again, look and building relationships with local shops, I believe you can pick them up for a pretty good price. That's two of them. That's dealing with self-defense. Now I would look at a hunting style rifle, 30-30, 30-06, 243, 270, all those would be great rounds. I personally like a 30-30. It's just an all-around great hunting rifle. I would challenge you to look at those three items before they're taken off the shelves. You see a lot of stores maneuvering away from these kind of items, so self-defense and special munitions, and the pricing of them. Please look at that as number one. Number two is precious metals, and particularly gold. Now, I do say buy gold and silver. I know gold is expensive. I understand that. And if you're buying it by the ounce, it's very expensive. But it is something you need to be working towards. If you have some kind of savings, again, this is just my opinion. Don't take it as a fact. You need to do your own research. But gold prices are more stable. They're not very volatile. It's not about building wealth. It's about holding wealth. And it's a stable way to hold wealth. Currency-wise, gold has been around forever. There's no reason not to hold it. Now, here's the reason I say do do that. There's a study that came out said that there is a new era of gold. This came out of Zero Hedge. It said estimated world officials gold holdings reach record high. Your Fed, who prints money, your Fed, who regulates the interest rate, your Fed, who regulates really the inflation because of all the hands they have and the puppets they have, is buying more gold than they've ever bought. China is buying more gold than they've ever bought. Poland buying more gold than they ever bought. You're seeing more countries stockpile gold. I've said this over and over on videos. I don't think you understand the importance of gold. Don't spend your life savings in gold. Please don't do that. But if if you have a nest egg, or you have retirement, or you have some kind of brokerage firm, or you want some physical, tangible gold, I like tangible. I want to hold it. I honestly believe this is something you need to be looking at. You need to make the sacrifices and make it happen. Now, if you can purchase it at a local pawn shop and you can get a good deal, you can buy the 1/10 ounce, the 1/4 ounce. You can buy even a 1/2 ounce of gold, and it could save you some money. But be working through your pawn shops for that, and make sure you're buying legitimate precious metals. If not, there's links below to the one I like. You can go to the max.io. It shows which one we love buying from. I honestly believe if you don't start purchasing some of this, I don't know if your money is going to be safe. Now, the reason I say gold and not something else. Now, Bitcoin. I've talked about Bitcoin before. I had a little Bitcoin. I actually just sold all my Bitcoin. Here's the reason why with crypto and Bitcoin. It's too speculative. The more and more I do research on it, the more and more I see bigger players getting into it. You're seeing bigger players want the SEC to jump into it. You're wanting ETFs to be jumped into it. It's going to make it skyrocket, but what it does, it puts it into the market. BlackRock is heavily looking at Bitcoin. So the more you see these bigger players jump into it, I don't know how safe it is. I believe it's going to be just the kind of the preliminaries to a CBDC. Also, if you're starting to see pushes where they want SEC to look at it because they want to be able to make it a true commodity and exchange it on the stock market. Once you see this, it says the SEC is spying on all your trades, linking them to your social security number and sharing the data with 3,000 agencies. So if we want the SEC more into crypto, we want SEC more into our parallel society such as Bitcoin or crypto, the more we see BlackRock pushing into crypto, the more we see bigger banks pushing into crypto like Chase, the more you're going to have SEC involved. And guess what? That means they know more about your crypto and know more about your Bitcoin than you think they know. Also, how safe is it? It goes back to, it depends on the grid, depends on energy. I personally like precious metals because I can tangibly hold it better. Now, do I hold cash? Yes. But cash over time will go away. Zero Hedge also put an article out that says, as bankruptcies soar, the debt market titans warn there will be a major default cycle that is starting to happen. So meaning you're going to see more debt, more inflation, more foreclosures, more problems, more delinquency, and more loss of revenues overall. We're going to see a harder time. Well, cash, it fluctuates too. Now, do I believe having cash? Absolutely. But if you had to put your money somewhere safe that's not so speculative, I go back to gold. I think this is a good purchase, and I honestly believe over time you may see government not allowing their citizens to buy it. You're seeing this in some cultures, in some countries. It's happened before in America. If you start purchasing it now, putting it up safe places, tangible assets, I do believe this is a great purchase for you to pass down to your children one day, just like the first one. These are good assets and they're tangible. Tangible assets is where it's at. Number 3, red meat. I love red meat. I love raising red meat. I love cattle on my farm. Love beef. Love sheep. Love deer. But when it comes down to it, beef is what I'm talking about. Start buying beef. Start making sure you're purchasing a bigger amounts, maybe quantitative bulk buys, and that's going to save you some money. 2 stories I want you to focus on. ABC News came out and said over 58,000 pounds of raw ground beef has been recalled in multiple states due to E. coli contamination. Now, we see recalls all the time on meat, and I believe if you can bring your meat more local, I do believe you have a better chance of it being healthy. If you're growing your own, kudos to you, way to go. But not only that, here's another article from Epic Times. The secret agenda to restrict meat in major cities. You're seeing a push, not only the Agenda 2030, but the C40. I don't know if you've looked at the C40, this 15-minute smart cities, that kind of movement. These mayors in these cities, like for instance, London has already done, they're trying to get people off of eggs, dairy, and meat. They're trying to push you to this kind of weird bioengineered foods, the petri dish meats. If you start seeing that movement, you're going to be dependent on these big players, but not only that, not natural resources. You can't grow it in a petri dish like I can grow a cow. So it takes that independence away. You're starting to see that push. Meat is really where they're hitting more than anything, is red meat. Cattle right now is selling at peak pricing, and they're selling them to feedlots to slaughter. So you're going to see an influx of meat hit the market because we are in a little bit of shortage, but really it's because of all the drought. So everybody's selling out. What that's going to do, remember, like we've talked before, cattle replacement. You have a mama who's a heifer. She's got to grow 2 years, then have a baby, and it's got to grow up to then provide meat or more cattle calf operations. So therefore, if we see a reduction of beef across America or worldwide, and yes, right now you can have a great surplus of meat, so you need to be buying it. If you don't watch it in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see a major shortage of meat because of how much is going to slaughter right now and how many people are getting out of the cattle market. Not only that, if that price goes up, that means it's going to be available, but it's going to be at $30 and $40 a pound for a steak. It's going to be at $8 to $15 for just a simple ground beef pound. So you need to realize it's not the fact, it's kind of like the ammunition. They're not taking it all the way all of a sudden. They're making it priced accordingly to make it where the common person cannot just live with meat. They can't just live with having munition buys. They can't live with buying gold because they've made all these things so expensive that's like, well, you know, the common Joe can't buy these 3 things. So therefore we will change their mindset in looking at cheap meat such as petri dish meat. We'll change their mindset to say, you know what, they don't need safety and self-defense because the government's going to take care of them. We can change their mind to say, well, CBDC is a good move. You're already used to crypto and you're already used to Bitcoin, and you're transacting over your phone. Why do we need tangible cash? Why do we need gold? It's too heavy. It's hard to keep as an asset in your home for safety. So you see, they're programming you to say these 3 things are bad for you. All the while, they're starting to ban these 3 things state by state, area by area, in countries. If we're not careful, you won't see red meat unless it's very expensive. You won't be able to buy gold because only the elitist or the governments will be able to afford it. And then again, when it comes down to your self-defense, 2A rights are leaving you. You may not have the opportunity to purchase ever again when it comes to self-defense and munitions. You need to be stockpiling these 3 things right now before it gets any tougher. There's been several stories, you know, of all the money that we're putting to these illegal immigrants coming to America, the money we're putting in Ukraine, the fact that we're under heavy inflations. If we keep seeing that happen and the debt keeps going up, it's going to cause a dollar crisis. That dollar crisis is going to make these 3 things even more expensive and out of touch. It's going to make it maneuverable to CBDC. And remember, if it maneuvers to CBDC, like the SEC, they're going to have a very tight eye on what you're purchasing. And I don't think these 3 things are going to be able to be purchased too much with CBDC. So be looking out. 3 things I would purchase. I did this week. I bought these 3 things this week. Well, let me go back. I don't buy beef because we have beef on farm, but I'm raising it. I actually have one right now that we're fixing to process. Our goal is to make sure we're taking care of our family, and sustainable, tangible assets is one thing the government cannot take away. Don't look at markets and crypto and all this stuff that you can't actually have a hold on. Find tangible assets that you can have a hold on. Food, building generational wealth such as precious metals, and then self-defense of all the things that you have. These 3 things I'd purchase today. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember the shirt, Awake Not Woke. We have about 3 new shirts that are in our store. If you like these, there's also some ones on gardening. There's also some ones on animals. Check those out. And thank you again for watching. Thank you for supporting us. Our goal is to always give information that's important to you and that could hopefully help your family build common sense wisdom in a crazy world we live in. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.